everyone, I'm Taylor. Today we're going to be talking about the book I Am Number 4 by Pittacus Lore. Now this book is actually part of the first of a series about aliens. Now I know that sounds super geeky, but bear with me, it gets better. I've never really been into that alien or theories, that kind of thing before. I've never even liked books like that before. But this book just really intrigued me in the way that it is written and how the plot line just really grabs you and just makes you keep wanting to read. I read it in less than a week because it was just such a fast-paced book. But the series tells the story of the remaining Loric people from the planet Loren. Their planet and the majority of its people were destroyed by an invasion of the Mogadorians, another planet and people, who seek Loren's resources, and the Loric guards legacies. The legacies are the powers that some of the Loric have. Only 9 young guard, the people with the legacies, and their Sepians, they're the legacy's trainers, make it off the planet on the lone spaceship that remains unscathed from the destruction around them. They travel to Earth where they separate. A charm is the only thing holding them together that brands them and lets them know who's next on the line and how many of them have been killed yet. The charm places a number on each child, 1 through 9, and only in that numerical order may they be killed by the Mogadorians. So obviously you start with 1, he's the only one that can be killed, and then once he's killed, number 2 can be killed, and so on and so forth. So they remain in hiding for 10 years after their arrival on Earth, trying to escape the Mogadorians who hunt them down. At the beginning of I Am Number 4, John Smith, or Number 4, sees a 3rd scar on his leg that signals that Number 3 has been killed. That means he's next on the line to be hunted down by the Mogadorians. The book is depicted the life of John Smith, who must keep his true identity secret. However, this becomes tricky when his legacies begin to develop and he must begin training for the fight that will inevitably come. John meets Sarah and Sam at school, who become some of his closest friends, Sarah even becoming his girlfriend. Henry, John's Sepian, says that the Mogs are sure to find them if they stay in one place too long, but John refuses to leave. This is the first time he's ever had friends. If I were to say any more of the plot, I would probably spoil it, so I'll let you read it for yourself. But this gives a little bit of a background to what's going on in this book, and again, it sounds pretty geeky, but it's a really good read, so I would really encourage it. Overall, I give the book a 4 out of 5 rating. The plot is almost always riveting and always keeps you on the edge of your seat, and like I said before, I read it super quickly because it was just so hard to put the book down. The characters are very relatable, and descriptions and feelings and settings are all described perfectly. Like, you can picture them in your mind and feel what the characters are feeling. All the characters are super relatable, so you can understand their problems, you can feel what they're feeling, you can, like, all sorts of, like, they're really relatable characters and you really get attached to them by the end of the book. I was very impressed with the writing style that the author uses. It's humorous, it's serious, it's really descriptive, you can tell what happens in all the battles and the fights and stuff. Like, you're never confused like sometimes happens with action books, it just moves too fast, but you're never confused, it's always very clear as what's going on. But it also keeps you in a little bit of suspense, so that keeps you wanting to read the book because you want to know what happens next. The only thing I docked a point off for was that sometimes the story plot was just a little too predictable, or not really predictable, but too easy for the characters, I guess. It seemed very convenient, some of the plot lines. It's not really real life, but I guess I am reading a book about aliens, so who am I to talk? I would really recommend this book to someone who likes a mix of sci-fi and like adventurous books. The pace is very fast, like I said before, and keeps the reader wanting to read the book. And it's not a very complex reading, so it's a pretty easy read as well. I would really encourage to continue with the series after you finish the first book though, because it gets better and better and you get introduced to more and more characters that are just as in-depth and so much fun to just read about and like see their stories, and you really want to keep reading and learning about these characters. They're a lot of fun. Now I'm going to be reading just a little bit of a section so you can get a feel for what the book is really about and how it's written and stuff like that. So here we go. I stand in the middle of the drive and stare up at the house. It's light pink, almost like cake frosting, sitting 10 feet above the ground on wooden stilts. A palm tree sways in the front. In the back of the house, a pier extends 20 yards into the Gulf of Mexico. If the house were a mile to the south, the pier would be in the Atlantic Ocean. Henry walks out of the house carrying the last of the 4 boxes, some of which were never unpacked from our last move. He locks the door, then leaves the keys in the mail slot beside it. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. He's wearing khaki shorts and a black polo. He's very tan with an unshaven face and that seems downcast. He's also sad to be leaving. He tosses the final boxes into the back of the truck with the rest of our things. That's it, he says. I nod. We stand and stare up at the house and listen to the wind come through the palm fronds. I'm holding a bag of celery in my hand. I'll miss this place, I say, even more than the others. Me too. Time for the burn? Yes. You want to do it or you want me to? I'll do it. Henry pulls out his wallet and drops it on the ground. I pull out mine and do the same. He walks out to our truck and comes back with passports, birth certificates, social security cards, checkbooks, credit cards, and bank cards, and drops them on the ground. All of the documents and materials related to our identities here, all of them forged and manufactured. I grab from a truck a small gas can that we keep for emergencies. I pour the gas over the small pile. My current name is Daniel Jones. My story is that I grew up in California and moved here because of my dad's job as a computer programmer. Daniel Jones is about to disappear. I light a match and drop it, and the pile ignites. Another one of my lives gone. As we always do, Henry and I stand and watch the fire. Bye, Daniel, I think. It was nice knowing you. When the fire burns down, Henry looks over at me. We gotta go. I know. These islands were never safe. They're too hard to leave quickly, too hard to escape from. It was foolish of us to come here. I nod. He's right, and I know it. But I'm still reluctant to leave. We came here because I wanted to, and for the first time, Henry let me choose where we were going. We've been here 9 months, and that's the longest we've ever stayed in one place since leaving Lauren. I'll miss the sun and the warmth. I'll miss the gecko that watched from the wall each morning as I ate breakfast. I'll miss the thunderstorms that seem to come out of nowhere, the way everything is still and quiet in the early morning hours before the terns arrive. I'll miss the dolphins that I sometimes fed when the sun sets. I'll even miss the smell of sulfur from the rotting seaweed at the base of the shore, the way that it fills the house and penetrates our dreams while we sleep. And I'm going to skip a little bit ahead. Before we get on the highway, Henry pulls over to gas up the truck. As he works the pump, I start looking at an atlas that he keeps in the middle of the seat. We've had the atlas since we arrived on this planet. It has lines drawn to and from every place we've ever lived. At this point, there are lines crisscrossing all over the United States. We know we should get rid of it, but it's really the only piece of our lives together that we have. Normal people have photos and videos. We have the atlas. Picking it up and looking through it, I can see Henry has drawn a line from Florida to Ohio. When I think of Ohio, I think of cows and corn and nice people. I know the license plate says the heart of it all. What all is, I don't know, but I guess I'll find out. Henry gets back in the truck. He has bought a couple of sodas and a bag of chips. He pulls away and starts heading toward US 1, which will take us north. He reaches for the atlas. Do you think there are people in Ohio, I joke? He chuckles. I would imagine there are a few, and we might even get lucky and find cars and TVs there too. I nod. Maybe it won't be as bad as I think. What do you think of the name John Smith, I asked. Is that what you settled on? I think so, I say. I've never been a John before, or a Smith. It doesn't get you any more common than that. I would say it's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Smith. I smile. Yeah, I think I like John Smith. I'll create your forms when we stop. A mile later, we were off the island and cruising across the bridge. The water passes below us. They are calm and the moonlight is shimmering on the small waves, creating dapples of white in the crests. On the right is the ocean, and on the left is the Gulf. It is, in essence, the same water, but with 2 different names. I have the urge to cry, but I don't. It's not that I'm necessarily sad to leave Florida, but I'm tired of running. I'm tired of dreaming up a new name every 6 months. Tired of new houses, new schools. I wonder if it will ever be possible for us to stop. Alright, so there's your little synopsis of how the author writes and stuff like that. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you check this book out yourself because it's a really good read. Thanks for listening.